Now, one of the things that has happened to me, despite the fact that my colleague said nothing had happened, was, and it's been a very confusing experience for me, is that I have begun to fall in love with everyone, fall into love with everyone. And it's hard to know what to do about it. See, when the armoring of the heart starts to release, like think of Mother Teresa picking up the lepers in the gutter of Calcutta. She is picking up Christ in all his distressing disguises. She's picking up the beloved in all the different forms. People say, isn't she courageous? Isn't she nice? Why? She's taking care of her beloved. What more could you want? It all depends on which veil, how you're looking at the world around you. And until you feel safe, you can't open your heart to other people. And you only feel safe when you've cultivated that part of yourself which is not vulnerable, which isn't just your separateness. As long as you think you are only your separateness, you are doomed to fear and anxiety all the time. If only the fear of death. It was an interesting sequence for me in India. When most of us grew up, the way the ego is structured oftentimes, we were trained in a thing that is common in psychology called conditional love. That is, our parents had an agenda. They wanted us to be good and grow up and be healthy. And so, if you did stuff that wasn't acceptable to their agenda, there was a certain way, even though they love you, that they just tighten up a little. They pull in because it hurts them. So you'll learn not to go to the toilet on the living room floor, for example. And you'll learn not to say certain things. And often you learn them just with these emotional ways. Somebody doesn't say, don't do it. It's just that they get a little tight. And you develop that's not and you get a feeling like, if people really knew me, which is Freud's point, if they really knew all my id material, they couldn't love me. And I grew up with that, a good healthy dose of that. And when I went to India and I met my spiritual teacher, he started to show me, and I couldn't hear it at first, but bit by bit he showed me what it was like to be in the presence of somebody who wasn't conditional. And you can only be unconditional when you don't want anything from somebody else, when you don't have an agenda that demands they be somebody. As long as I think I'm somebody, you have to be something or other to fulfill my somebodyness. You've got to at least reinforce or support my somebodyness. Now, he did a series of things, and just to give you a little feeling for what that sequence was, he started to show me that he knew everything that was going on inside of me. That was the beginning of it. I'll give you 2 episodes. As those of you that know my material, this will be very familiar to you, but think of how many times I've heard it. One of them is the Volkswagen story. One day in India, I had an old Volkswagen bus, and we were not allowed to be with my guru until the afternoon. So a number of us, about 13 of us or something like that, went in the bus over to visit a little temple, all crammed in. And on the way back, the bus wouldn't get up a hill because it was only running on 3 cylinders. So I said to everybody, get out and push. Everybody got out and pushed, but 2 women who were in the back talking. They heard me, but they ignored me. So we got out and we pushed the van up the hill with the women in the back. And I kept thinking they should have gotten out and pushed. I mean, that isn't fair. And I was sort of bugged with them, a little angry. And then we got back in the car and we went back to the temple where my guru was, and we walked into the temple and he was sitting across the yard and he started yelling, Ram Dass is angry, Ram Dass is angry. And everybody said, no, he's been very nice today. And he said, no, Ram Dass is angry, the women wouldn't get out and push. Okay, that's episode 1. Episode 2. This happened earlier, actually. I think I wrote this in Be Here Now, I'm not sure. I had been, as I said, I'd been up in this temple and I had been fasting and meditating and doing breath control, and I was 50 pounds lighter than I am, all bones, and I really looked like a yogi. Light was pouring out of my head. I had lots of beads, a long beard. I had a dress. I was wearing a potato sack. I was barefoot. And I had these big pupils, and I was really, And I had been silent for 4 months. I hadn't talked. I had written on a slate, so all that energy was like, Rrr. And I was sent to New Delhi to get my visa extended. So I took the bus to New Delhi. It's about 8 hours, and I walked through the streets of New Delhi barefoot with my beads, and I was really out there. And I was so far out there that when I went into a stationery store to get some envelopes, they wouldn't take any money from me because I was obviously so holy. Which I was and I wasn't. I mean, it's partly it was true and partly it's showbiz. I mean, I like being that person. So I finished my work and I went to a lunch at a vegetarian restaurant, which was appropriate for a yogi, and they were all watching me because I was so yogic, and they gave me a booth, and there was a wall here and people there, and I ordered appropriate thali of a vegetarian meal, and I ate it in the yogic fashion. I mean, you've got to look when you're a yogi like you don't really want it, but you'll do it to keep the body together so you can do it. I mean, there's a whole routine, a certain look you get, So I ate very yogically, and everybody's smiling, and I'm smiling, and I feel, I'm doing my part, and it's all partly true, and I'm doing fine until dessert comes. And dessert are these 2 big cream-filled biscuits, which I know are not yogic food. See? And they know it too. And clearly what I should do is go, throw them away or give them to the dog or something. But see, inside me there is a fat Jewish adolescent. See? And he wants those cookies. I mean, that's all there is to it, man. So like in magic, where you have one hand doing something else while the other, I was doing holy things with this, so their attention was all here, and I was moving the dish around this way. And then I was doing holy things and sneaking the cookies in this way. And I got them all in with nobody watching. I didn't lose a stitch of my yogic purity. I took the night bus back up to the mountains, 8 hours, and arrived the next morning, bought some apples, went to my guru, kneeled down in front of him, offered the apples. He pulled my hair up, leaned down, and he said to me, "How did you like the biscuits?" Now, he kept doing these things to me, and I kept saying very glibly, he knows everything, he knows everything, he knows. And then one day I was sitting in front of him, front of his tuck at his table, and he was sitting there. He was about this far away from me. He was talking to other people, and I was sitting there, and I was thought, boy, he knows everything. Oh my God, he knows everything. And suddenly, all of the things that you wouldn't want another person to know, it's like trying not to think rhinoceros, you know? They were pouring through my mind. I mean, all of those things, you go into the bathroom and close the door to not think, you know? There they were, and he was right here, you know, and I started to get all red, and I was covering my face because it was like being broadcast on a loudspeaker, you know? And finally, when I looked through my fingers, he was about this far away from me, and he'd stopped talking. He was just looking at me. And he was looking at me with such love. Such love. And I experienced what it was to be loved just the way I am. Not if I did this or did that. Not if I'm good. But just because I am. The same way you would love a tree. You go out in the woods and you see pine trees and fir trees and eucalyptus trees or whatever trees you see. And you don't say that pine tree should be an oak tree. You appreciate it just the way it is. But you get near people and you get into this judging mode. It should be this way, it should be that way. And he was looking at me just with appreciation of just the way I was with all of it. And I thought, what grace it would be if I could love other people that way.